Hi, I'm Andy Dehart, Director of Fishes and Aquatic Invertebrates for the National Aquarium Institute. We're here at the National Aquarium, Washington, D.C., where we focus on America's aquatic treasures. These are the animals, plants, and other marine life that call our country home. Unfortunately, non-native, exotic, and invasive species can be found in almost all of our aquatic habitats. A non-native or exotic species is one that lives outside of its normal geographic boundaries, but is not necessarily having a negative impact. An invasive species, on the other hand, is one that is having a negative impact on its introduced environment, and they are breeding. In most cases, these guys are breeding very well, and their numbers are getting out of control. Today we're in New Providence, Bahamas, studying the invasive red lionfish. When we first started studying lionfish here in 2006, throughout the course of that first year we collected 8 lionfish. We came back the next year and unfortunately collected well over 300 lionfish. It was an absolutely rapid population explosion. We know that they're laying eggs at about 30,000 eggs a month. It's very alarming, and this fish is perfectly adapted to become the perfect invasive species. Every single site that lionfish come from, we record what site they were collected. We compare that by GPS and all the listed dive sites that we've hit over the years to kind of see how big these animals are getting. And we actually have to dissect every single one of these that we catch. We just opened up a lionfish that had a baby octopus in it. Certainly troubling, sad to see a baby octopus in the stomach of an invasive fish that doesn't belong here. Relocating these lionfish is certainly not a feasible process. So we do need to look at human consumption. This is an animal we can feel good about eating.
That's 2 good fillets right there.
We're actually filleting all of the lionfish. We're taking the fillets home for a seafood event. Lionfish are incredibly good food to eat. Every lionfish you eat saves 50,000 reef animals a year. They're a single lionfish, so we want you to eat them to beat them, and I know the local reef fish here will thank you for it. I'm here on the banks of the Potomac River, which runs right through our nation's capital, to focus on an aggressive fish species called the northern snakehead. This fish has become locally established here in Maryland, D.C., and Northern Virginia. The snakeheads were first discovered here in Maryland in the year 2000. Now, these fish ended up here because an individual who bought these animals to serve as soup ended up not making the soup, releasing the fish into his local waters, and they've caused an amazing problem since then. Snakehead consume a diet of roughly 90% fish. They're very aggressive predators, picking off our native fish species. They're also very prolific. A female snakehead can lay up to 100,000 eggs per year. The local fish of these waters are already threatened with habitat loss, pollution, sedimentation, and they can't stand the pressure of a super predator in their ecosystem that's feeding directly on them and also competing with them for prey. Snakeheads can tolerate temperatures all the way down to freezing, and they've adapted to spending a good deal of time out of the water. This makes them very difficult to eradicate, and thus they're now found in 10 states. Snakeheads are now illegal to own in all of their invaded range, but there's still a number of animal species available in the pet trade that are potential problems down the road. Please, don't release non-native wildlife. We're in the Everglades National Park exhibit here at the National Aquarium, Washington, D.C. Now, in my arms here is a ball python. Now, ball pythons don't traditionally live in the Everglades, but they are being found there on a regular basis as an exotic or introduced species. The ball python right now is only exotic. They're not breeding and having a negative impact on the wild, but their close relative, the Burmese python, which is from Southeast Asia, has become an invasive species in the Everglades. Invasive means they are having a negative impact and are rapidly breeding. There could be as many as 180,000 Burmese pythons in the Everglades. Now, these guys are feeding on 39 different endangered species, including the American alligator, which has just come back from the endangered species list. When you're buying pets, do the right thing. Make sure that you can take care of an animal for its whole lifespan. Many of these animals live 20, 30 years. Make sure you can provide enough room for these guys to live. This ball python can get to be about 6 feet long. Non-native species are wreaking havoc on all of our ecosystems. If you do find yourself with an animal that you can no longer take care of, contact a pet store or contact your local aquarium and zoo.